we'll slide in. Oh, I forgot this chair is broken. We all know the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. On a completely unrelated note, I decided to watch another Netflix original movie, thinking this time it'd probably be pretty good. Ooh, Lord almighty, give me strength. Water's not strong enough. Oh God. It's time for prom, baby!
I'm actually, like, this is actually kind of offensive, like, unironically. This is so gross. It is offensive. It's disgusting. It's a hate crime.
I'm sorry, I'm just tired and a little bit irritable, and that was just a little bit of a breaking point for me. I'm sorry.
Like, no. Fuck off. Fuck these kids! I hate this on every level. Yeah.
This never happens.
This is so fucking ridiculous. In my fantasy world, I'm blowing that kid's heads off. This movie and kill them! Fuck them! Because he's a fucking straight fuck. Dance. That's what makes every gay person happy. Just dancing and glitter. Yeah. Neolib Holocaust. It's time. It's time. We kill all the neolibs. Oh my god.
This girl is gay and wants to be gay with another girl at prom, so the PTA canceled prom since civil rights laws prevent them from just kicking this girl out of town. Meanwhile, these hacks want to salvage their failing Broadway careers, so they go to Anti-Gayville to try and score some easy celebrity points to boost their hack careers. The gaggle of buffoons try to make the PTA reverse their reversal of prom's existence. Hijinks, moral lectures, empty platitudes, and elaborate plots to emotionally destroy this girl ensue. Not yet, old friend. Alright, let's get into it. The biggest problem with this movie by far is the fact that it starts as a satire, and then it just turns into what it was satirizing. Because the movie starts with the four celebrities, and clearly making fun of how self-centered, elitist, and condescending, and just, like, completely self-motivated they are. And the movie rightly criticizes them for this, because they don't care about Emma or her prom problems or anything. They just want to boost their careers through activism. And, you know, it poses the interesting question that celebrities really have to think before they do activism if they really want to come across right and if they want to have their priorities in order. Sadly, though, the movie just completely loses touch with that at about the 30-minute mark around, and it just starts turning into and exhibiting all the problematic things it was satirizing. Like, for example, when they initially get to the small town to convince them to throw back the prom and be more accepting, they go to a monster truck arena, which is a bit of a stereotype, but okay, we're gonna let it slide, because whatever. And they sing the Acceptance Song, which is this really campy song full of condescension and platitudes and plain bullshit and all this other crap.
So join with me and sing this acceptance song. Bigotry's not...
And they get booed off the stage for it, because every, like, normal people, when you attack their beliefs in song and dance, they said, no, we're not accepting that. That's we're not accepting that. As it's the acceptance song. You know, It's okay. I can just delete the channel. On second thought, I've decided to stay and finish this. Build a prom for everyone. Where was my train of thought? You know, the funny part is, though, later in the show, Andrew Rannells sings another condescending song about how contradictory Christianity is, which, you know, Christians love it when Broadway dancers point that out.
You don't? Then what's this? Kaylee has a small tattoo. That tattoo would be taboo. Kaylee, guess what waits for you? What? An eternity in the fiery pits of hell.
Except this time, for no reason other than it's the end of the movie, the entire high school is singing and dancing along, and they love it this time.
You know, it kind of makes sense.
Love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor.
Like, you were just making fun of how that kind of thing doesn't work, and now you've written a song where it does, and, like, the movie expects it, like, yeah, that song was convincing. No, it was the same level of convincing as the other one. It was, like, a better, catchier song, but, like, you think that's gonna convince, like, hard-set homophobic people? A Broadway song and dance? Like, dude, you are what you became the villain. You are what you warned against. Another example of this just, like, self-fulfilling prophecy is when the fact that, you know, they're also really narcissistic in the beginning. They think they're better than everyone else, and they think they're way more important than they are. And, you know, again, that's a valid criticism. But then Keegan-Michael Key's character shows up, and his entire character is just worshiping musical theater. That's the entire point of his character.
That's why I love the theater. It's how I escape.
He's also, like, an ally for Emma in the school, but besides that, it's just worshiping musical theater. And he sings a song about how without musical theater, normal people wouldn't be able to live their lives, and it would be so sad, and he might as well just throw himself off a bridge, because, no, musical theater isn't just a distraction, it's an escape. And an escape helps you heal.
An escape helps you heal.
And, like, the frustrating thing is that I think musical theater, like, is really cool, and, like, it can do all of those things, but the fact that this song and this character was written by musical theater people seems, like, really self-centered, that, like, we're gonna write a character, and he's gonna talk about how awesome musical theater is, and he's gonna be straight, because straight people like musical theater too. You can't disprove that. Yeah, this movie, really, this is just the whole motif for this video is just the fact that they try to satirize all this stuff and then just step on the rake that is them falling into all the tropes they were just making fun of. You know, ultimately, you gotta ask yourself who this movie was made for, because this movie spends a massive portion of its runtime, like, preaching, like, it's okay to be gay, you have to be accepting of gay people, like, there's nothing wrong with us, we were born this way, but also, like, trying to be, like, a lighthearted, fun comedy. So, either way, you would expect that, like, the movie wants you to take its moral messaging seriously, and it comes across like it wants to convince people, like, see, this is okay. But at the same time, the movie marketed itself with neon light rainbow font and, like, big dance Broadway numbers, and, like, set itself up to, like, if any bigot was on the fence about watching this, he would just go, he or she, because women can be bigots too, they would just look at it and like, I'm not watching that gay Broadway crap. I'm gonna put on Ben Shapiro's movie for the 3rd time today. I don't know what bigots watch. The Super Bowl again. I don't fucking know. Either way, this movie, like, also the fact that this movie is filled to the brim with niche musical theater jokes, which, like, there's nothing wrong with being niche. It's just the fact that this movie seems to be trying so hard to convince people to be accepting that, like, why would you make so much of the humor in the movie inaccessible to people who haven't, like, listened through and researched, like, at least 20 musicals and, like, no niche references, like the fact that there are a lot of older women by Broadway standards in the kick line for Chicago. Like, who's gonna know that besides losers like me and other people who just know a lot about Broadway? And that really gets down to the heart of it, which is that it just comes across as, like, disingenuous, because it feels like the only reason it's doing all this preaching and, like, all these, like, satiric jokes and everything is because this isn't actually for convincing people. It's just for, like, gay people to have a good time, I guess. But also, like, and also it's to hook in, like, younger gay people who are, like, sad, and it's like, yeah, that is what life's gonna be like eventually. A bunch of Broadway stars are gonna come to my small town and fight for me, and then we're all gonna sing a musical dance number with tambourines, and then all the bullies are gonna come up to me and say, we're sorry, we was our fault, we're gonna be better now. And then I'm gonna say, ha, in your face, I don't care, you suck, you're bad, leave. And then James Corden is gonna open up a portal to the gay dimension. The gay dimension.
I just wanna dance with you. Let the whole world melt away and dance with you.
It just feels so ridiculous, and this is such a slanted portrayal of reality that I just really hope that no, like, young gay kid watched this and was like, yeah, the world is gonna be like that. Everyone is gonna accept me eventually. Because, like, I'm not pessimistic about the future for LGBTQ people, but also, like, I feel like this is so far in the other direction that just, I don't know, like, it's gonna get better for people, but not like this. Not with so many dance numbers. Not with portals to gay dimensions. That's not how reality works. It'll get better, just not like that guy. Gotta stay hydrated. Well, watching this movie, it clearly wants to be this, like, lighthearted, fun, like, musical comedy where, like, oh, we play, like, fast and loose with the rules, and, like, oh, we're poking fun at ourselves, and ooh, look at us, we're singing fun songs. But then, like, it'll also, like, seesaw to, like, this is serious. This matters. People are being oppressed. We're changing lives. Does it matter yet? This matters. And scene. Anyway, you know, it wants you to take the movie, like, this drama really seriously, but this leads to, like, you get whiplash moving from one scene to the other. Like, weren't we just, like, touting these characters as self-centered idiots, and now we're supposed to be hanging on every word they're saying? Like, you can't have it both ways. Like, for example, Emma, the main girl who's, like, getting discriminated against by her school, her song about dealing with homophobia is like, oh, it's just like, just breathe, Emma, everything will be okay. Picture a Xanax. That's a quirky little line.
Just breathe, Emma. Picture a beach with golden sand. Just breathe, Emma. Picture a Xanax in your hand.
Like, oh man, it sucks to live in Indiana. But when James Corden talks about his struggles as a gay man, he's like, my parents hated me! Even though, like, he didn't even get kicked out by his parents, but Emma did? She's been through a lot. Her parents kicked her out of her house, and then her town hated her so much for being gay that instead of just letting her go to prom, and at first they try to cancel prom, but then they set up a fake prom just to fucking dupe her.
Vicky, look at me. I'm going to crush you.
And then they have a real prom at a way nicer place. The amount of planning and logistics that went into that, the entire town was in on it.
How much does it cost to book a venue for, like, a 3,000 person school?
Well, they booked a venue for the 3,000 person
we're gonna have
school.
3,000 people here, teenagers nonetheless, that will certainly make a mess and destroy your venue. Do you mind booking us? We're a PTA group. We have about $500 to offer. What's your minimum? What's your minimum? You fucking kidding me? Who the fuck negotiated this? Fucking Jeff Bezos working on their PTA
Hey
board?
guys, don't worry. We have the lighting.
Who figured this shit out?
There was planning committees involved where people sat down and said, this is how we make sure she doesn't go to prom. And then we're going to put a little cherry on top of the cake for her. There were whole committees. People brainstormed for hours figuring this out. Like, all right, how do we appease the state regulations while still discriminating against gay people? Like, my point is, she's been through, quite frankly, a little bit more than James Corden's character, and yet, like, she gets all the chillax, like, stuff. And just, the movie kind of doesn't have any, it just, the fact that it whiplashes back and forth, it just makes it hard to take it seriously, because it's like, well, you were just, like, making light of all of this a few minutes ago, and, like, these characters weren't serious a couple minutes ago, and were pretentious, like, jerks that we were laughing at, and now, like, we're supposed to be, like, sympathizing with them. Like, it's just, like, it just doesn't work. It goes back and forth, and it just doesn't work. My issue is the white writers, directors, and casting directors completely tokenized all their black actors just so that they could make their movie look a little bit more hip. Which is, I do not think that it makes it more hip. That's just something that some boomer would say. This fictional town of Edgewater, Indiana, is quite frankly portrayed as a post-race utopia. The school is nearly 50-50 split between black and white students, and race is never even hinted at as ever causing any level of tension. On the other hand, as has been made abundantly clear, the town is really homophobic. Like, going to comical lengths to curb stomp this poor girl's hopes and dreams just because she is gay. And multiple characters make it abundantly clear that they think being gay is inherently bad.
Well, this isn't America. This is Indiana.
My son will not be forced to go to a homosexual prom.
Thank you, Beverly. Thank you.
Like an exchange student?
Maybe.
Well, then why don't you, like, exchange her for a guy? Ooh, dude. Nice.
That was before she turned gay.
But keep in mind, racism? Not a problem. In fact, this town is so racially progressive, I'm pretty sure the only way they could have achieved racial harmony and also be this homophobic was by saying, okay, look, we have our differences. We all know this, but why don't we focus on what we have in common? Hating gay people. And let's get down to the business that really matters. Mentally shattering this poor gay girl. This portrayal just gets depressing too when you learn this movie is based on a real town. A real town with documented civil rights abuses. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce you to Itawamba County, Mississippi, the bigotry capital of the world. Basically, yeah, the prom is based on a true story, and it's very similar to the story of the movie. A gay student, Candace McMillen, wanted to go to prom with her girlfriend and wear a tuxedo. The school said, and then she said, but wait, civil rights. And then they said, prom is canceled, and then they held a secret prom where she was not explicitly invited. Luckily, Candace McMillen tag-teamed with the ACLU to bring the hammer down on Itawamba County. In another Itawamba County civil rights case, that's right, another one, within the span of 2 to 3 years, a black student named Taylor Bell sued the school because he was suspended after publishing a diss track of 2 gym teachers. He was accusing them of sexually assaulting black female students. Because he made threats, heavy quotation marks around that word, in his song, he got a 6-week suspension and was forced to attend an alternate school for the remainder of the school year. He sued the school and lost. The school won that one and upheld their suspension. The case is too detailed to explain fully, but let me just be clear. He did not literally threat anyone. The only reason that he got suspended was because the white school board didn't understand that if you make a colorful threat in a diss track, that doesn't mean you're literally going to kill somebody. So, yeah, boils down to white people are scared of rap music, at least down in Mississippi. Anyway, my point in bringing up these court cases is that, in all likelihood, Itawamba County is probably pretty fucking racist. And it's the town that the prom is based off of, so not exactly racial harmony. But you might be asking, okay, well, this movie is only loosely based on that situation. Why are you bringing this up? Why does this matter? Can't black people be in movies without being nitpicked to death? Yes. If this were just a musical set in a high school that was frivolous and fun and carefree, and it's like not really about anything, and it's just a fun, lighthearted comedy, yes. It does not break the realism of movies like High School Musical, Star Wars, or MCU movies if those universes are portrayed as 100% completely diverse. That is fully true. I am not doing one of those Reddit or Star Wars reviews where the reviewer says, well, actually, if you go broke, you've gone woke. If you go woke, you've gone broke, Kathleen Kennedy. Now you must go anti-woke if you want to be wealthy, Kathleen. Please don't lump me in with them. Please. I don't want to be I don't want to have an animated avatar that crosses its arms. Anyway, the problem with this movie is it's ramming political messaging down your throat that, albeit, is not wrong messaging. It's not morally wrong. I believe that gay people should be accepted, but it's still ramming messaging down your throat. And the movie fully expects you to take all of this very seriously, but then it just sweeps the entire concept of race under the rug, as if it doesn't exist. It was never there. Poof! It's gone! Racism is no more! If the writers of this movie felt like they couldn't accurately or purposefully write the reality of Itawamba's race issues into their musical, then guess what? Don't cast black actors for Twitter points! I feel like it's not that hard. Seriously, this movie is maybe the most blatant case of tokenism I have ever seen. And the thing is tokenism is such a band-aid solution to the lack of diversity in Hollywood. Like, because the solution is empowering more black creators to write and direct projects. And like, it's good that gay people wrote and directed this project, but like, also, you can't ignore the reality of what your political movie is about. The solution is not white writers using black people as trophy pieces to win over the neolibs. Nobody likes the neolibs, except the neolibs. They love the neolibs. Not the neolibs. It's funny, because at the same time, the movie clearly wants to appropriate parts of black culture to seem cool, which, wouldn't you know, it's another thing they satirized at the beginning of this movie. Take it away, James.
This is not a review you want when you have crappy advanced sales. This is gonna close us.
What didn't they like? Was it the hip-hop?
Yes.
Before I wrap this up, I'd just like to clarify, I don't blame any of the black actors in this movie for this issue. They were cast in parts, they accepted them, and quite frankly, all the actors in this movie do a great job. A good job, pretty good job, considering, you know, the material they were given. One notable exception, but we'll get to him later. It's just frustrating to see white writers and directors just they really should know better. And I understand that, like, this movie was, it's important that this movie was created by gay people, both on and behind the camera, but also, like, that's not a get out of jail free card for being racist in your movie. And also, just one more thing that makes this whole disaster even more laughable and kind of pathetic. Meryl Streep raps in this movie. And don't worry, white songwriters wrote the song for her. I checked. The rap is only over the credits, so it's easy to miss it if you instantly turn this movie off as soon as the credits started rolling, like I did. But then when I had to watch it again, I noticed this. And if you think this movie isn't leaning on black culture to seem cool, well, I'll just let Meryl rap a little bit for you.
Gotta wear your crown or your tiara. Now is the time to bust out the mascara. Who needs shade? There's nothing duller. We live in life in full technicolor. But if your sparkle starts to fade, go out and start your own parade. And if somebody starts in with new drama, just go high like Michelle Obama.
I'm someone who likes musicals a fair amount, so this really tilted me while I was watching it. Now, if you're not familiar with musicals as an artistic medium, let me give you some context for this. When you're writing a musical, you have to make a really critical decision early on in the writing process. When a character or characters is singing a song in the world of this show, are they literally singing? Like, do all the other characters acknowledge they are singing and like, oh, look at her, she's singing and dancing? Or are they metaphorically singing as a storytelling technique? That would mean that in reality, they're not literally, in the world of the show, they're not literally singing, but as a storytelling choice, the writers had them sing a song to sort of heighten the emotional state of the character and theatricalize it. When either one of those options is acceptable. Characters can be literally singing or metaphorically singing. But generally, you want to stick to one or the other, and you don't want to break that rule. The only example of a movie musical that does both is a movie like Chicago, where the movie makes it very clear when the characters are metaphorically singing by smash zooming in on these vaudeville sets and this over theatricalized makeup, and even cutting back and forth between what's actually happening in the real world and the storytelling technique of this big vaudeville musical song. And when the characters are literally singing in the world of the show, they're just singing in the real world sets, and it's usually much more muted and much more calm. It's a great distinction. The Prom, however, never makes this distinction. I was literally at a loss the entire movie, during pretty much every single musical number, of, is this metaphorical or is this literally happening? The movie doesn't make any distinctions. It's impossible to tell. And again, like typically in a musical comedy, it doesn't matter, you know, whether they're literally singing or not, because you're just there to have a good time, listen to some catchy songs, and laugh at some jokes. But this movie, like I said, also tries to walk the line between being both a dumb musical comedy and being like a smart, emotional, powerful musical. And smart, emotional, powerful musicals need to have consistent rules, or else you can't take them seriously. So, anyway, here are some examples of some particularly egregious numbers where I just have no idea whether they were actually singing or not. God, it's a complete crapshoot. I can't tell. Oh my god. I've seen the movie 3 times, and in these sequences, I still cannot tell whether they are literally singing or not. Okay, in the number It's Not About Me, the lighting implies it's being over-theatricalized, and Dee Dee, Meryl Streep's character, is not literally singing. But it also shows these guys, like, running up to do the lights, so does that mean she literally is putting on a musical number at this PTA meeting? But also, they have control. Why would this auditorium have, like, color lights if they don't have a theater program, which is mentioned later? But then again, the PTA members start singing at the end of the song.
Oh, security is happening. This is not about what is happening.
The PTA members would never start singing. Why would they do that? They don't want these musical theater people to be there, so they would never literally be singing, so that's metaphorical. But then James Corden's character says, at one point, he tells Dee Dee to, quote, "Sing it, Eleanor!" But then again, why would the school have a sparkly glitter curtain? So that means it must be metaphorical. But do you see what I mean? Where it's like, what is happening here? What is the world of this show? Are people literally singing or not? And it only gets worse, because another flummoxing number is The Ladies Improving. Again, a number that Meryl Streep sings. In the world of the show, it is established that Dee Dee Allen is a Broadway star, and that Keegan-Michael Key's character literally saw her sing this number from this show in the past. And then, you know, like, she sings it again for him to try and convince him, I can get better. So it's a real song. So the song actually exists in the world of the play. So you would think that she's literally singing. But then she opens, like, the sliding doors of his office, and he's like, there's a bunch of these, like, degenerate kids, like, look at her, she's singing. That's pretty cool. And then they start backup dancing for her. They wouldn't do that. Why would they backup dance?
There's just a sliding glass fucking wall.
There we go. The jocks are gonna dance with her.
As if they wouldn't pull out their phones and say, Broadway bitch goes crazy in our
World star.
Yeah, world star.
Barstool Sports, old hag goes crazy.
Go get Dave Portnoy on this.
Dave Portnoy. How do they know the choreography? They wouldn't literally know that. How would they? Are they just improvising the who? It doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Nobody would do that. And also, like, the high school jocks like have a lot of dance numbers during the show. They would never do that. Are you telling me in a homophobic town, any jock would be caught dead singing and dancing? Opposite of his entire
This is also literally the gayest thing that's happened in the movie so far. This is literally the most. This is the gayest shit. This is so. Yes, this, more of this.
That's like the most stereotypically gay thing they can do, and they're homophobes, so they would never do that. And okay, last one. In the song "Love Thy Neighbor," Andrew Rannells says this beforehand, before he goes to the mall.
What I'm thinking I'm going to do is this: venture forth and seek out the young people and rap in a non-musical sense.
Rap at them in a non-musical. It's a pretentious Shakespeare joke. Okay, so look, I'm not above Googling words that I don't know what they mean. So basically, rap at them means to passionately speak at them. So he specifically says he's not going to sing at them. He specifically says that he's just gonna try and have a passionate conversation with them. And then, so you would make that think that the whole Love Thy Neighbor song is a metaphorical song, that he didn't literally sing to them, since that's what he said. But, and also, since the jocks and the plastics start singing and dancing along, obviously they would never do that, because for reasons that I previously stated, they wouldn't sing and dance because they think that that's gay. That's just the stereotype that they definitely believe. But in the number, you can clearly see that there are spectators watching them dance as if it's a flash mob. Did the film crew, like, are those extras? Or did they literally, like, at the mall, they couldn't, like, cordon off? So, like, some people just wanted to watch them dance in this mall? But, like, what? Every little musical number, Ryan Murphy just had to go putting his fingers in the pie, going, oh, let me see, is the musical literally happening, or is it not literally happening? I just for once, I just want it to be clear. None of the numbers are clear. I know I only brought up a few examples, but there are so many more. There are so many more that it could be, and it's just every number, and I just want it to be real. The Golden Globes just hate me, don't they? You know, we watched this movie the night before the nominations came out, and they just hate me, don't they? They just decided to really take a dump on me and just say, well, guess what? We like the Prom. We're nominating it for Best Musical. But their nominations are a good segue into my final complaint, though. And that complaint is, eloquently put, James Corden sucks! You know, I'm bisexual, and my opinion has always been that any actor can really play any sexuality, really. It's not something that, like, it's not a base requirement that you have to be gay to play a gay actor. But, like, James Corden's really testing the limit, bud. Like, he just sucks in this part so much.
I'm not the one who should have regrets. I was the kid. I was the kid.
You were brilliant as FDR.
From the moment I first stepped into FDR's shoes, and when I say shoes, I mean wheelchair, I was 16. It's just what we do. 16 years old, and I was terrified.
it's so forced. And what's so baffling is that gay people wrote, directed, and co-starred with him in this movie. Gandrew Rannells is gay. Ryan Murphy, the director, is gay. 2 of the writers are gay. And, like, the fact that none of them thought that, like, oh, that voice you're doing is a little bit much, or, like, oh, that's a bit of a stereotype. You might want to tone it back a bit. Like, I guess I can't be offended because so many gay people were involved in this and overseeing his performance, but it still sucks to watch. And, like, also his vocal work as an actor is just incredibly inconsistent. Not his singing, but, like, his actual vocal work. Because he can't really do an American accent. He has an okay one, but it doesn't... He can't do an American accent. So what ends up happening, and in combination to him trying to do an American accent and a gay voice, it just sounds like... There are points of the movie where if you played clips side by side by side, it's like he's doing the same character in all these clips. And also, you know he's straight when you're watching it, just because he's giving a bad performance, and you have to watch him ham it up through these tragic scenes about his troubles as a gay man, and it's just so inauthentic that, like, you literally just want to, like, collapse, and it hurts to watch. But, you know, funnily enough, the movie reviewed his performance for me.
Barry Glickman's FDR might just be the most insultingly misguided, offensive, and laughable performance that this reviewer has ever had the squirming misfortune to endure.
Yeah. Yeah, that about sums it up. Actually, perfectly. I don't think I probably wouldn't have been able to do it that succinctly. Feeling better now. It's feeling a little bit better. Alright. Let's wrap this up. I think this movie really... It's kind of sad because it didn't have to be as bad as it was, but just... Because the jokes it makes at the expense of celebrities and, like, fake Hollywood activism are actually, like, pretty funny. The music in this movie isn't terrible. I wouldn't call it an original Broadway score or a groundbreaking Broadway score, but, you know, it's not bad. Some of the songs are kind of catchy. It's just, this movie suffers so much from just this performative activism and these, like, forced moments and, like, just shoving it down your throat over and over again of, like, oh, look how powerful we are being gay and so on and so forth, that, like, it just gets nauseating to watch. It feels so dishonest and slanted that, like, you just can't engage with the movie at all without, like, getting upset and frustrated that not only is the movie ignoring all of the satire that it was just making seconds ago, but now it is actively indulging in all the problems it just laid out for you. On top of that, I didn't have anywhere else to put this really, but Ryan Murphy, stop spinning the camera. Oh my god, just pin it to the floor, please. I already had to suffer through this in People vs. OJ, and now in this too. God, just keep the camera still, please. Those poor camera operators. What do you have to do to train them for the motion sickness they must get? Just constantly just... Oh, I'm actually getting a little bit dizzy. Oh, God. Oh, you gotta lay down. You really gotta take these ones slow. Oh, you'll get a headache talking about these movies. You gotta pace yourself. Ooh. I really didn't want to hate this movie, but it forces you to. It's impossible to like. And like, it's just made so much worse by the fact that it was just telling you like, huh, look how dumb performative activism is. Isn't that obnoxious and pretentious? Watch my performative activism and love it. This is God. I'm God. Broadway stars are God. I think the best way to sum up my opinion on this movie, really, you just gotta let the movie roast itself.
If you're considering buying a ticket to this show, do yourself a favor. Buy a few feet of good heavy rope instead, and then go hang yourself. Oh, God.